From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
It's Wednesday, January 20th, right now on Good Morning Indiana.
I know these are dark times, but there's always light.
A new era in Washington begins today as President-elect Joe Biden is sworn in and President Trump leaves office. The details on the plans in Washington.
Having a woman vice president is special.
Turning a historic moment into a meaningful lesson. This morning, how a local teacher is hoping to encourage kids to understand and appreciate diversity.
Fulfillment that comes with serving your local population, and the only branch of the military that can do it like this in Indiana, it's really the home team, it's the Indiana National Guard.
They are here to protect and serve, and now they're looking to hire more Hoosiers. A look at how the Indiana National Guard serves our local and national community and how you can get involved.
Thanks for joining us for Good Morning Indiana. We finally made it to Wednesday. Only 2 more alarms, you guys, to wake up bright and early. We're glad to have you with us.
Glad to have everyone with us, Megan. And as you mentioned, we're getting closer and closer to the end of the week. Raphael, you said it's January, so we don't expect too much in the weather department. No, we've had ice storms here. We've covered those together, so this is nothing.
Yeah.
Hoosiers, we are hardy. Put on the winter gear today and hit the Franklin Greenway. Let's do this thing. Wednesday's upon us, and Todd Clausen has an amazing forecast. Todd, take it away.
Yeah, you know, it could be a lot worse here in January. Lauren mentioned the ice storms, the snowstorms, temperatures below zero. And it's been a pretty mild January, and we haven't had any real big storms. Those snow showers have been with us the past couple days. Those are finally coming to an end. Temperatures outside right now are in the 20s and 30s, but this is what it really feels like outside right now. There is a wind out there, and it makes it feel like it's currently in the teens anywhere you go. And the view outside shows visibility not an issue. We're not dealing with any of those snow showers here in downtown Indianapolis, and these clouds, they'll start to clear out. There are just a few flurries here in northern locations, Kokomo to Peru, and then over from Muncie into the Richmond area. If you see a flake or two, it's not going to cause any issues on the roadways. And here are the clear skies that will start to work into later on this afternoon. So just be a little bit patient here this morning. The clouds will depart. The sun will return. Unfortunately, we are not going to see the temperatures climb a whole lot throughout the day today. It's pretty chilly, as we'll top off only right around 32 degrees. Lauren.
All right, Todd, thank you. Let's take a look right now at your commute on this Wednesday. Taking you up to Fishers, good morning to you. I-69 here at 106th Street. Traffic is moving along up to speed, both northbound and southbound. Pretty quiet still on your roads. No crashes to slow you down, Raphael.
Lord, our road to the inauguration is here. The day has arrived. This, a live look at the nation's capital this morning, where in just a few hours, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be sworn in as the 46th President and 49th President of the United States. Their oaths of office come at a time of unprecedented tensions in the nation's capital, as well as a global pandemic that is hitting, of course, the entire world. As you can see from our countdown clock there on the right side of your screen, the transfer of power is just hours away. We'll have more on this historic day coming up right here on Good Morning Indiana in just a few moments. Megan?
Raphael, Indianapolis city leaders are taking action to reduce violence this year. This after a record-breaking number of homicides in 2020. WRTV's Kelsey Anderson is live this morning with the details. Good morning, Kelsey.
Hey, good morning, Megan. So criminal homicides in 2020 increased by nearly 40% from 2019 here in Marion County. And in yesterday's press conference, Mayor Joe Hogsett is citing COVID-19 as a contributing factor. Metro Police say they ramped up staffing, local, state, and federal partnerships, doubled down on community-based beat policing, deployed over 1,000 police body cameras, and implemented violence interrupters, people tasked with minimizing retaliation violence. But despite all of this, Chief Randall Taylor says a lot of their efforts were disrupted by COVID-19, like in-person meetings with youth especially. Priorities for 2021 include better accountability with the Use of Force Review Board, containing a majority citizen involvement, and reigniting relationships with community groups to repair and build trust between law enforcement and neighborhoods.
While 2020 was the most difficult year our city has ever experienced, while 2020 was the most difficult year our country has ever experienced, I think IMPD is rededicated to, as Chief Barker just mentioned, learning the lessons of 2020, hopefully overcoming the effect of the pandemic and therefore, with a focused effort, make 2021 a much safer year for all of the residents of Indianapolis.
So we spoke to one grassroots leader who says to see a decrease in violence, the city and IMPD need to partner with community organizations more. So coming up in the next half hour, we hear from that community leader and his response to the city's take on 2020. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Kelsey, thank you. The time right now is 6:06. Let's turn back to Washington. Tensions remain high 2 weeks after the storming of the U.S. Capitol, Megan.
That's right, Lauren. This morning, defense officials are reassuring the public that today's inauguration event will be safe and secure. Overnight, at least 12 Army National Guard members were removed from inauguration security detail. Officials have not said what led to their removals, but they revealed that a vetting process showed these individuals previously made inappropriate comments or displayed questionable behavior.
We want to make sure that there's no issues at all and that those properly get looked into.
We are taking steps to ensure that there's no concerns. The American people should have confidence in the National Guard.
On Monday, Acting Secretary of Defense Christopher Miller said there's no intelligence indicating an insider threat to the inauguration. For his part, Biden continues to preach a message of unity. This morning, he will attend a church service with a bipartisan group of congressional leaders. Lauren.
And Megan, the Hoosier State will be well represented in the new administration. Biden has named Indiana natives to several top positions on his team. That includes former South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg. We spoke to Indianapolis Mayor Joe said about what this appointment means for Hoosiers.
I think one of the best decisions for Indiana that President-elect Biden has made thus far, and I'm speaking very selfishly as a Hoosier, is the naming of former Mayor Pete Buttigieg of South Bend as the Secretary for Transportation. I can tell you that infrastructure and transportation needs, we're the crossroads of America, after all. And so to have a Hoosier heading up the Department of Transportation, I was extraordinarily pleased, and I look forward to working very closely with Mayor Pete.
Buttigieg is set to be confirmed on Thursday, Raphael.
Today is a day of firsts, as a woman will take the oath of office as vice president for the first time in our nation's history. The shattering of that glass comes as a Pike High School teacher here in Indianapolis hopes his new children's book titled Orange will help young kids and teenagers appreciate diversity.
The book, talks about there's nothing that rhymes with orange, and the other colors tease and make fun of and leave orange out of the rainbow, which causes orange some trauma, some anxiety, and some low self-esteem. So much so that she decides not to be a part of the rainbow anymore.
What do you hope people get out of this book?
A sense of purpose, that everyone should be included, and that the world is a better place when everyone is involved.
How should I take what's going to happen on January the 20th in the nation's capital? How does that connect to this book which you've written?
But we have a long history of otherness. And I think my book is about otherness. Orange is different. And she is sad for that. And no one is celebrating the beauty that she brings to the world. So I think it connects with, we just haven't really realized the beautiful things that women can offer our political scene. Having a woman vice president is special.
Mr. Slack happens to teach social studies at Pike High School in Indianapolis. You can get his book by going to his website, dslack.com. Lauren?
Raphael, a critical shortage of nurses at VA hospitals across the country, including in Indianapolis. Straight ahead, WRTV investigates, finds out the impact this is having on patients.
A central Indiana community is working together to help those serving our country. Up next, the program they're building to make sure families of those deployed are taken care of.
And it's a chilly start to our Wednesday all across central Indiana. Temperatures right now are in the teens. Today we struggled to get to the freezing mark, but look at tomorrow. A nice jump in our temperature into the mid 40s. It's the warmest day of the next 7 days. We cool off heading into the weekend as the storm system approaches. We'll lay it all out for you coming up in your WRTV Storm Team forecast.
Keller and Keller.
Welcome back. It is 6:13. We want to get to the latest on the continuing impact of the coronavirus on Hoosier lives. A spike in COVID-19 related deaths, but there is some better news with the amount of newly reported cases. So the Indiana Department of Health confirming 126 additional coronavirus related deaths. A total of 9,092 Hoosiers have now died with COVID-19. The State Department of Health also reports 2,756 additional cases of the coronavirus. That's the second day in a row that new cases have been below the 3,000 mark. More than 595,000 people in Indiana have tested positive for COVID-19 since the pandemic began back in March. Raphael.
The VA hospital here in Indianapolis is among several across the country now facing a critical shortage of nurses. Along with our partners at Newsy, WRTV Investigates found that several nurses are getting sick with COVID-19 or are in quarantine at hospitals that serve military veterans. The Richard Rauterbush VA Medical Center here in Indianapolis is one of 6 VA medical centers in the Midwest cities described in a federal contracting document in December as facing a critical shortage of nurses. The document says, quote, due to RNs becoming infected with COVID-19, as well as requirements to self-quarantine due to confirmed or probable exposure. Another location on the list includes the city of Detroit. Detroit VA nurse Yvonne Evans, she worries that there soon may not be enough nurses to work alongside her as the infections increase.
The surge hasn't quite hit yet. After this holiday, I honestly believe these surges are going to really increase.
WRTV Investigates did reach out, of course, to the Indianapolis VA. A spokesperson told us the document is a routine request to hire contract nurses on a temporary basis. The VA has hired 72,000 new VA healthcare workers since late March across the country. The VA also told WRTV Investigates its employee infection rate is less than 1%, lower than the 6% in all healthcare systems as reported by the CDC. When we asked how this is impacting Indiana veterans, we were told there is no impact and that all VA medical centers have adequate capacity to meet current demand. Megan?
Raphael, it's an effort to help hometown heroes. WRTV's Troy Washington is in Westfield with the inspiration to support the families of the men and women deployed to military service.
Heroes will now get the help they need in Westfield if they are called away.
Westfield sells itself as a real community. And I think people are attracted to Westfield because of that.
Scott Willis is the city councilman who proposed the hometown hero idea. It hinges on his own personal experience as a veteran.
I moved to Westfield in 2005, and literally as I was walking through our house to do a final walkthrough, I got a call from my commanding officer and I was being mobilized to go to Iraq. So we were in Westfield for literally just a few months before I deployed. And when I deployed, my wife was a stay-at-home mom, and we had a 14-month and a 3-month-old at home. It was a huge burden on her. We didn't have a network of friends.
And a vow he made to make sure the next person standing in his shoes would have the full support and help of the community.
When I came back, I swore if I ever had a chance, I would try to put something in place to relieve that burden down the road. And we just took a little step further to support our public safety officials as well.
Here's how the program works. The family members of hometown heroes will go to the City of Westville's website. From there, they'll be connected with snow removal and lawn service vendors, all free of charge.
I got an email a few weeks before we voted on this from a firefighter that's in the Air Force Reserve, and he's being mobilized. And he reached out and said, this would be a huge relief for me if we could get something like this passed. You know, initially it's not going to have a huge impact on our community. There's not a lot of mobilizations happening in the armed forces, but I think it's an ideal time to kind of cut our teeth, get this program in place, work through the kinks, and then, God forbid, that day comes where we go back to war, we'll have a program that can bring real relief to our armed forces.
Working for you in Westfield, Troy Washington, WRTV.
Troy, thank you. It was such a close deciding vote that for the first time in Westfield history, the mayor had to break the tie in order for the proposal to pass. Time now is 6:18. Let's get a look at the weather with Todd Klassen.
All right, as you walk out the door this morning, you're going to notice two things. Obviously, the chill in the air and also the wind. It's pretty gusty still here this morning. We're factoring in wind chills that are in the teens. But today we start a pretty quiet stretch of weather that's going to take us all the way into the weekend. And by quiet, I just mean there's not a lot of storms heading our way. There's no real precipitation in the forecast until we get to Sunday evening, and we'll have a good amount of sunshine. Now, tomorrow's probably the best day of the week because it'll feature the warmest temperatures. We're getting up into the 40s, and as I mentioned, the next storm that is going to arrive in the forecast late in the day on a Sunday. Outside right now, it's pretty quiet. It's just a little windy, as I mentioned. The clouds are in place here this morning, and temperatures, they sit in the mid-20s in most locations. 26 in Indy and Bloomington, 25 in Lafayette, as well as Tipton. It's 26 as you make your way over into the Richmond area, but this is what it really feels like outside in the teens right now all across central Indiana, and that's why you need to bundle up, especially the kids heading off to the bus stop or if you're going to be out for an extended period of time. Few flurries linger here up in the Peru and the Muncie area, not really going to cause an issue on the roadways whatsoever. And you already notice the clouds starting to break apart here a little bit over towards Terre Haute in the Greencastle area. That trend will continue this morning across the area, and look at all the clear skies back off to our west. So we do get into some sunshine here throughout the day. Some of you just hold on to a little bit of cloud cover this morning before those skies start to brighten, but TrueCast shows those clouds moving out, and then this evening it's pretty quiet across the area with just some high thin clouds drifting in during the overnight hours, but we are not expecting any precipitation. The problem today is not going to be the sunshine. We get that in here. The problem is the wind direction. It's out of the northwest, and that's going to prevent our temperatures really from warming. Logansport, Kokomo, Marion, Frankfort, you probably don't even get to the 30-degree mark here later on today. Right at 30 in Noblesville as well as Newcastle. Shelbyville, 34 degrees, 32 in Indy, mid-30s here down to the south. So it's not a warm day for us. We'll actually be below normal, but at least we have the sunshine. And as I always say, the sunshine helps everything if it's out this time of year. This evening, clear skies. Temperatures will be in the 30-degree range throughout the evening hours. And then for the day tomorrow, it's the best day of the week. One, we have sunshine from start to finish, but it's also the warmest day of the week as temperatures will be climbing into the mid-40s. In fact, some areas tomorrow, I think, could even potentially climb all the way up into the 50-degree range in southern locations. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. But nonetheless, look at the cooler temperature that comes back in on Friday, back down to freezing. And Saturday, temperatures will only be right around 30 degrees. Now, as far as that storm system I mentioned coming in here on Sunday, right now it looks like it'll start off as some rain because Sunday we're getting up to 38 degrees. But by the time we get to Monday morning, the temperature's right around freezing. So there could be a period overnight Sunday into the Monday morning commute where we deal with a little bit of a wintry mix. We'll keep an eye on that for you. But eventually Monday up to 39 degrees. That obviously takes any wintry precipitation, just plain old rain by the afternoon.
All right, Todd, thank you. Let's take a look right now at your commute. This is I-65 near County Line Road down the south side near the Greenwood area where you can see traffic is moving along up to speed there on your interstate. Just keep in mind as you're traveling on I-65 on the south side, we have ongoing construction work, a long-term project in the southbound side of the interstate between Edgewood Avenue and Southport Road. Raphael?
So, Lauren, forget the pennies because Bitcoins are red hot right now, but you may not be the right investment for you at this moment. Coming up, consumer reporter John Matarese tells us why you may want to think twice before jumping on that Bitcoin bandwagon. Thank you for watching Good Morning Indiana on this Wednesday, the 20th.
Get 1,000 bonus earnings.
It is 6:24 on our Wednesday. Raphael and Megan, it's time to chat about what is trending at 6. And we've discussed this a little bit, Raphael. We do not have a lottery winner for anyone who responsibly plays the lottery. So there's still a chance for anyone to take home nearly $1 billion. Keeps on climbing there. Mega Millions jackpot is still up for grabs after no one won the big jackpot. That means it's now up to an estimated $970 million with a take-home prize of more than $716 million. There were 9 winners who took home $1 million prizes. So not too shabby. And 2 Lucky Lotto players took home $2 million prizes for matching all 5 numbers and the Mega Pillar. Unfortunately, none of those winners are from the Hoosier state, so none of us here. The next Mega Millions drawing is set for Friday night. And tonight you can watch the $730 million up for grabs in the Powerball drawing. So they keep on climbing.
All right, good luck.
Let's buy a team ticket, guys.
Yeah,
let's buy a ticket amongst us, right?
Maybe we'll get lucky.
Just saying. Maybe.
All right. Well, she may not have won the lottery, you guys, but Sarah Thomas is proving that you can make your own luck by working hard. Next month, she will make NFL history by becoming the first woman to officiate a Super Bowl game. She joined the league in 2015 as the first female on-field official. She also became the first woman to officiate an NFL playoff game in 2019. Way to make your mark, Sarah.
Wow.
Congratulations to her.
Yes, indeed. There she goes. Listen, so a Michigan nurse that captured the nation's attention and hearts right last year when a video of her singing to her co-workers went viral. Well, guess what? Lori Key was in full key, stepping back into the national spotlight last night, doing an amazing job singing Amazing Grace there on the National Mall. She was invited to perform on the mall during a COVID memorial honoring the many lives lost during the pandemic. And standing with Lori while she sang, the incoming president and vice president, who took a moment to thank all frontline workers continuing to battle this pandemic. And that was absolutely beautiful if you had a chance to see that. This morning, we are singing Todd Clausen's praises as it's going to be another great day in Indianapolis and central Indiana. Todd, no complaints today in your inbox.
Yeah, you know, the sun will be shining, Raphael. That is good news. By the time we get to the afternoon hours, it's going to be a bright day for us with temperatures. And that'll be pretty seasonable for January standards. This morning, it's a little breezy out there, and that's putting wind chill values, as you see here, down in the teens. So you definitely need to bundle up. But that's pretty common this time of year. And as far as our high temperatures go, keeping in mind our average high this time of year is 35. So we'll be a little below that in northern locations. But we should be right at that number as we work our way from Indianapolis down to the south. So overall, a seasonable day. Tomorrow's the best weather day of the week by far, as temperatures will be climbing up into the 40s. More on that, Lauren, coming up in just a couple minutes.
All right, Todd, thank you. Well, forget the lottery. Some people are getting rich this year by buying up Bitcoins. But before you give it a try, consumer reporter John Matarese has a buyer beware so you don't waste your money.
Have you heard of Bitcoin, the digital currency? If so, you may have heard that it recently doubled in price. But before you try to buy some, buyer beware. Bitcoin is red hot. This digital world currency ran up from $20,000 in December to $40,000 by January 10th, making big money for investors. But it then dropped 20%, burning investors who arrived late to the party. Fortune magazine says Bitcoin is a bubble that has popped several times, most recently in March 2020 when it plunged 60%. CNBC's Jim Cramer says it can be part of your investments and says he owns some. But he says only play what you can afford to lose, just like in a casino. But from the Doesn't That Stink file, what can happen when a bubble bursts? Most younger investors may not remember the 1999 dot-com bubble, when any stock with a dot-com at the end doubled in days. It all crashed in the dot-com bust. The poster child was Pets.com, and late investors in it lost fortunes. Doesn't that stink? Bank of America calls Bitcoin the mother of all bubbles, so invest accordingly. It's not a scam, and you could make big money, but you could also lose big money too. Could Bitcoin double or triple in price again? Sure, but it could also plunge, as it has several times before, so be careful so you don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese. Good morning, Indiana.
From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
Now on Good Morning Indiana on this Wednesday morning, this is your 6:30 news feed. Mike Pence says his 4 years as vice president were the greatest honor of his life. Mr. Pence thanked his supporters on Twitter during his final full day in office. The Indiana Republican Party says that Mr. Pence and his wife Karen will travel to Columbus this afternoon to thank friends and supporters.
Police in Fishers have arrested a 15-year-old from Indianapolis for a shooting that happened near an elementary school on Monday. Officers say the teen was arrested last night. The juvenile is charged with shooting another person in the leg after an argument near 104th Street and Olio Road. The victim's injuries are not life-threatening.
The Purdue Boilermakers on the road taking on number 15 Ohio State. Last few seconds of this game, it's all tied up in Columbus. Freshman Jaden Ivey has the ball and hits a three-pointer to give Purdue the lead. The Buckeyes would only get a free throw the rest of the way. Purdue gets their first win over a top 15 team since 2012. The final score 67-65.
The Butler Bulldogs also picked up a win last night on the road. Jair Bolden led the way with 21 points as Butler beat the Blue Demons of DePaul 67-53 in Chicago. It's Butler's second straight win and their first win away from Hinkle Fieldhouse this season. On this Wednesday, two key words: bundle up. And on this inauguration day, there will be no problems for those flags that you have outside your home as they will be flapping in the wind. Hey, Todd, good morning to you.
Yeah, Raphael, good morning. Fully extended flags here this morning across a lot of lawns and buildings and places in central Indiana, including on top of the One America building here. That's because we have a pretty good wind out there, and that's putting wind chills down in the teens in many locations. And you see this breeze anywhere from about 10 to 15 miles per hour. It's not gusty. It's kind of more sustained at those levels, and that's the issue. Actual temperatures right around 25, 26 degrees, but again, wind chill values in the teens this morning. Some of you saw snow showers yesterday evening to the north. We're just left with a few flurries. That's all we have out there currently across the area. If you see any of these flakes, it's not going to cause any issues on the roadways. That's the good news. And the clouds even already starting to break up here across parts of western Indiana. That trend will continue as we work our way throughout the course of the day today. And we do get into a lot of sunshine today. That is the good news. Unfortunately, we have to contend with that breeze and that northwesterly wind direction, and that's going to keep the temperatures from warming a whole lot. We're in the 20s here this morning, then eventually we'll see high temperatures this afternoon top off in the low 30s. Lauren.
All right, Todd, thank you. Let's take a look at your commute this morning. Maybe you're heading to work here in the downtown area. You shouldn't have any problems if you're using I-65 and I-70. Here's a look at the south split from our tower camera here downtown. We can see plenty of headlights down below, but everything's moving along as it should be. We'll keep you updated if there are any trouble spots to slow down your commute this morning. It is 6:32 though, and the city of Westfield, Raphael, is ready to bring a little relief to their hometown heroes.
So, Lauren, the city council there recently approved a program to help military families. WRTV's Trey Washington explains the inspiration behind this new initiative.
Heroes will now get the help they need in Westfield if they are called away.
Westfield sells itself as a real community. And I think people are attracted to Westfield because of that.
Scott Willis is the city councilman who proposed the hometown hero idea. It hinges on his own personal experience as a veteran.
I moved to Westfield in 2005, and literally as I was walking through our house to do a final walkthrough, I got a call from my commanding officer, and I was being mobilized to go to Iraq. So we were in Westfield for literally just a few months before I deployed. And when I deployed, my wife was a stay-at-home mom, and we had a 14-month and a 3-month-old at home. It was a huge burden on her. We didn't have a network of friends.
And a vow he made to make sure the next person standing in his shoes would have the full support and help of the community.
When I came back, I swore if I ever had a chance, I would try to put something in place to relieve that burden down the road. And we just took it a little step further to support our public safety officials as well.
Here's how the program works. The family members of hometown heroes would go to the city of Westville's website. From there, they'll be connected with snow removal and lawn service vendors, all free of charge.
Yeah, I got an email a few weeks before we voted on this from a firefighter that's in the Air Force Reserve, and he's being mobilized. And he reached out and said, this would be a huge relief for me if we could get something like this passed. You know, initially it's not going to have a huge impact on our community. There's not a lot of mobilizations happening in the armed forces, but I think it's an ideal time to kind of cut our teeth, get this program in place, work through the kinks, and then, God forbid, that day comes where we go back to war, we'll have a program that can bring real relief to our armed forces.
Working for you in Westfield, Troy Washington, WRTV.
Troy also tells us this morning that the vote to pass that program required a tiebreaker. For the first time in Westfield's history, the mayor had to break the tie to move that program forward. Megan?
Raphael, they're here to protect and serve you, and they're also your neighbors. Today in Hiring Hoosiers, we'll look at the increase in Army National Guard recruits and how you can take part in this service.
Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Zartman is responsible for recruiting and retaining new National Guards men and women in the state of Indiana. He says it's a tough time as service members take on additional duties during this pandemic.
They get positive for COVID just like everybody else, which creates some challenges. But even amongst that, we are seeing an increase compared to past years.
That's a recruitment increase of at least 8% compared to the 3-year historical average.
Why do you think there is an increase?
I think a lot of it has to do with just the prominent role that the National Guard is playing at the state and federal level, whether that has been in testing sites, food bank operations, long-term care facilities, etc.
We've seen the replays of that national activity during the attack on the Capitol in Washington, D.C. But images also show perseverance by National Guard members. Those men and women so dedicated to their roles, they sleep in the Capitol hallways.
And then some of the praises that we're receiving from state and national leaders really help let the community know kind of what the Guard's doing on a grand scale.
They're assisting in a time of need locally, too. That also includes helping vaccinate Hoosiers against the coronavirus.
But since March, you've been able to see the Indiana National Guard used in a whole state response in all 92 counties in very different roles.
And new National Guard recruits like Carlos Suarez take notice.
I get happy because I see how we're making a difference to help people that need the help.
He says he's joining the Guard to help pay for college and serve his hometown of Indianapolis.
The Guard is like stay home, work close to home, and help people all at the same time.
So far, he's made it through basic training.
There's like some hard times during basic training, but you just got to focus on the bigger picture, on what your goal is, and keep going.
That bigger picture goes beyond the images on a screen and connects deeper than virtual recruitment interviews.
The fulfillment that comes with serving your local population, and the only branch of the military that can do it like this in Indiana, it's really the home team, it's the Indiana National Guard.
And to join the National Guard, there are certain requirements that you need to follow. You must be between 17 and 35 years old, an American citizen or permanent resident, at least a junior in high school or have a high school diploma, GED, or certificate. Also, you've got to pass the physical and mental requirements. For a link to requirements, go to hiringhoosiers.com. Lauren.
Megan, 2020 was a record year for violence here in the city of Indianapolis, even as other crime numbers fell. Next, we're going to break down the plan from our city leaders to improve safety in the year 2021. It is 6:38 on your Wednesday. We'll be right back after this short break.
Pelican Water, the local water experts.
Well, it was almost the tale of two cities in 2020. Indianapolis saw a record number of homicides once again, even as the number of other crimes committed was actually down last year, Megan.
Lauren, now Metro Police and the mayor are sharing their plans to help reduce violent crime this year. Our Kelsey Anderson joins us live with more on exactly what those plans say. Kelsey.
Hey, good morning. So here in the Circle City, we saw nearly a 40% increase in criminal homicide, but that's not unique to the Circle City. We know that across the country, we saw record homicides increase and more than we've seen in modern history. So in a press conference yesterday, Mayor Hogsett cited COVID-19 as a contributing factor. Metro Police say they ramped up staffing, local, state, and federal partnerships, doubled down on community-based beat policing, deployed over 1,000 police body cameras, and implemented violence interrupters, people tasked with minimizing retaliation violence. But despite all of this, Chief Randall Taylor says a lot of their efforts were disrupted by COVID-19, like in-person meetings with youth especially. Aaron Williams, who works with two community grassroots organizations focused on rooting out crime, says COVID-19 has been devastating for all of us, but it's no justification for the amount of violence we saw last year.
What we saw was a lack of leadership, and we saw the opportunity that the city took on to say, hey, here's an excuse that we can use, let's lean on that. And I don't think that it's right, and I don't think that it's fair for all the families that lost loved ones. We met with the mayor over half a dozen times last year, personally, in his office, very highly confidential conversations of really trying to work with him and his administration on things that could be done, and we never moved the needle forward.
Now, Mayor Hogsett says the city is funding community-based violence prevention tactics at a historic level. Now, priorities for 2021 include better accountability with the use of force review board, containing a majority citizen involvement, improving data collection to solve and prevent crimes, focused policing on the small number of people and places driving the majority of the violence, and reigniting relationships with community groups to repair and build new bridges of trust between law enforcement and neighborhoods. IMPD says about 60 to 70% of Indy's non-fatal victims were uncooperative last year, either giving law enforcement false information or not communicating at all. And now city leaders are encouraging everyone in the community to come forward with information so they can help solve these crimes that are happening here in the Circle City. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Well, Kelsey, thank you so much. Governor Eric Holcomb praised what he calls Indiana's resiliency and foundation in his annual State of the State address just last night, adding that he has high hopes in this new year.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming off at 2020, I'm convinced 2021 can be the best ever. So the central question before us all is, how can we seize this day? Thankfully, in Indiana, our capabilities will be aided by our momentum, for sure, but we must not slow down. In fact, we must accelerate and go, go, go.
The governor says that starts with focusing on the health and wealth of Hoosiers. He talked about improving the state's COVID-19 vaccination plan as well as the state's infant mortality rate. The governor also touched on things such as jobs and deploying body cams for state police and many more topics. You can find more of the State of the State address as well as reaction to that speech right now on the WRTV app as well as our website, WRTV.com.
Well, January 20th is a big day in history and a big day for one local family. Coming up, why this day is marking several milestones for at least two men in our country. Todd.
And Lauren, it's breezy outside right now with these winds that are out of the northwest. That's putting wind chill values this morning in the teens. The winds will start to turn a little more southerly. That's the good news as they bring in some warmer air. But as the winds turn southerly, the wind speed picks up later on this evening as we could have some gusts up to 30 to maybe even 40 miles per hour. We'll break it all down for you coming up in your WRTV Storm Team Forecast.
With Colgate Optic White Renewal.
Welcome back. In just a few hours, a new president will take the oath of office. That's why January 20th is a significant day on the calendar every 4 years, Raphael.
And so, Megan, as we keep a close eye on that countdown there on the right-hand side of your screen, for one local family, they have more than one reason to celebrate a day that they say is full of milestones.
Carol Black has lived long enough to see the nation elect 18 presidents. Born in 1921, President Harding was in office. His childhood saw the rise and fall of Presidents Coolidge and Hoover. His commander-in-chief was FDR during World War II, while he served in the Aleutian Islands from June 1943 through December 1944. He was a member of the greatest generation.
Their pride in their country is still phenomenal. He loved being in the Army. He has Alzheimer's, and so a lot of things have gone, but that he remembers. And so his desire and his need to remember that part of his life has stuck with him for a long, long time. And I really admire that.
He was such a humble person, and he instilled that into all of us.
In 1946, he married Mary. Their 75-year union has outlasted the presidencies of Truman, Eisenhower, JFK, LBJ, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, and Trump. January the 20th was key to those men. but it's special every year for the father of 5, grandfather of 7, and great-grandfather of 13. This is Clairville's 100th birthday and the inauguration of a new president, Joe Biden.
Well, I think it's a celebration for both.
For both my mom and my dad, having a new president was a special thing. It was a good thing to have a new president. It was sort of a new start for the country, and it was a time to kind of celebrate.
While the nation marks a constitutional tradition, Clairville marks a milestone. It's a big day for him as well.
So a big happy birthday to Clairville from all of us here on the team at Good Morning Indiana. The family is arranging for Clairville to get cards and many donuts delivered to him, of course, on his special day. Some curbside donuts, Todd. And I counted how many presidents I've sort of lived through in my somewhat young life. I've had 10 so far, 10.
All right,
so I'm more to go.
I did the same exact thing, so we're on the same wavelength. And today, once Biden is inaugurated, I'll be at 8. I started with Jimmy Carter back in 1979, right at the end of the Carter administration. So here we go. All right, outside right now we are dealing with mostly cloudy skies. It's a little windy, and that's going to be the issue or the flaw in the forecast, not only today but into the overnight hours as well, as we're going to have to contend with these breezy conditions. And of course, when temperatures are in the 20s and you have wind, it's not good, because you factor in a wind chill, and that's what it feels like right now at 14 degrees. Outside right now, the actual temperatures are in the 20s anywhere you go, with the exception of Muncie at 30 degrees, 25 in Martins. Here's your wind chill forecast for the day today. This is what it's really going to feel like throughout your entire Wednesday. It's going to feel like the teens throughout the morning hours, and then low 20s as we get into the afternoon hours, and eventually back into the teens later on this evening. The good news is we will have sunshine. A little bit of cloud cover this morning, and then we get into the sunshine as the day goes on. But those temperatures really struggle to warm with those winds coming out of the northwest. Now, there's a few flurries out there this morning, not going to cause any issues, and you do notice the clouds already starting to break apart a little bit off to the west. That trend will continue from west to east here this morning, and that's when you'll get into the sunshine as we work our way throughout the course of the day today. There'll be a few high fair weather clouds at times coming in during, I would say, the late afternoon, early evening hours, but we're done with the precipitation with the flurries departing here this morning. We probably don't see any additional precipitation in this forecast until late in the day on a Sunday when our next storm system heads our way. Now, this evening, the wind is going to continue to ramp up, so it's a little bit of an inconvenience here this morning, but we get into the gusts later on tonight, and during the overnight hours, that's when we're looking at wind gusts anywhere from 30 to maybe even 35, 40 miles per hour. But the winds are out of the southwest, and that's going to bring the temperatures eventually up throughout the course of the overnight hours. We get down into the 20s in many locations. But look what happens tomorrow. The wind will subside as we go throughout the day tomorrow. So the windiest portion of this forecast is overnight tonight into Thursday morning. And then tomorrow's the best day of the week. Sunshine, temperatures will be climbing up into the mid-40s. In fact, some areas tomorrow could be getting close to 50 degrees in southern locations. Enjoy it. It's a one-day deal. By the time we get to Friday, we're back down to 30 degrees for your high temperature. Saturday morning, really, really cold, all the way down into the teens for your actual temperatures. Wind chill values probably in the single digits. But then by Sunday, we're up to 38 degrees. The storm system arrives, probably with just some rain across the area. Then overnight, transitions over to a bit of a wintry mix. So Monday morning's commute, Lauren, could be a little slick, but eventually back to all rain as temperatures climb into the upper 30s.
All right, Todd, thank you. Where things are moving along smoothly this morning. This is I-465 and East 82nd Street on the northeast side. Traffic there is traveling up to speed northbound and southbound. There are no crashes around the interstates on the metro area to slow you down, so that is good news this morning. We'll have more of your top stories just after the break. Stay with us.
TV.
It is 6:56 on Good Morning Indiana. Your out-the-door forecast is coming up in just a moment, but first, let's get to your top stories, Megan.
Lauren, one person remains in the hospital following a shooting on the city's east side. The shooting happened around 9 o'clock Tuesday night near East 10th Street and Shablin Avenue. Police say the victim was taken to the hospital in serious condition. Raphael.
In the nation's capital at noon, Joe Biden will become the country's 46th president. Here's a live look this morning at the National Mall ahead of today's ceremony.
And live coverage of the inauguration begins right here on WRTV at 9 a.m. A TV special celebrating the inauguration called Celebrating America will also air tonight. You can watch that tonight at 8:30 here on WRTV. Now let's get that one last check of our forecast, Todd.
All right, a pretty dry stretch of weather for us here as we go throughout the course of the next couple days. That is the good news. Decreasing clouds this morning, plenty of sunshine this afternoon, 33 degrees. It does become pretty windy, though, throughout the day today, so keep that in mind. Tomorrow, 44. It's warm ish for January, I guess we should say, but we have plenty of sunshine, so that's good news. And colder again for the weekend. The next storm system arrives Sunday night into Monday, starts as some rain, probably a little bit of a wintry mix heading into Monday morning, but then back to all rain with a high of 39.
And Todd, we're back here in 25 minutes throughout a special edition of Good Morning America. We hope you have a great Wednesday.